Hello, my name is Patrick Gabran, and I am the son of Michaels H. Holmes. I'm 14 years old, and I'm gonna talk about The Lost. Now, what is The Lost? The Lost is an institute created a few days ago, in 2nd of April, 1999. It was created by Latvian National Parks, the main ones and the biggest parks, and the government, forming this institute, which is meant for safety and surveillance. Also to keep media coverage of national parks. They're on the media and safety side of things. So for example, if a person goes missing, then The Lost is a company which will try to find some evidence, broadcast that into a tape, show it to specialized people, maybe parts of the government or the police, and then they'll try to find answers. Because over the past few years, ever since 1981, there have been almost 542 people that went missing in the Gauja National Park, also in Cēsis, Rauna, Sigulda, Riga, even Ventspils, Daugavpils, Liepāja. There have been even some that have happened in Lithuania and Estonia. So The Lost is trying to basically gather knowledge from them. Our company has been making these tapes with copyright. They're putting the known information and the recovered footage or photos, and they're sending these tapes to police and parts of the government. So maybe on the new internet they could be, you can't just Google lost media and then find this. It's owned by the national parks, specialized in that, and most evidence that you have is a camera being there. Now, there have been some theories as to how these people went missing, and these photos, which all of the photos, and maybe even some footage I haven't seen, show basically forests or just farmland with barely any buildings and mostly empty. It looks like the person's in distress, and it's just not a lot of photos. Most of the photos that we have been recovering are from early 90s, late 80s, some even from the 70s. So that's how that goes, but we still don't know what happens to these people, how they went missing. No footsteps, no traces were left behind, only for a broken camera, which only has maybe one photo, some photos, or maybe even just one video. And there is a chance that, they just get lost in these parks and then wander into these forests. But that wouldn't make sense, because all of them are showing almost the exact same forest, mostly in daytime, and the circumstances are weird, because it wouldn't make sense. Otherwise there would be traces, footsteps, or maybe somebody would have seen them. But people said that, the family member said he went to sleep, and then the next morning he's gone. The bed is all messed up, but that person is gone. And I don't know. I'm 14 years old. I don't have a great theoretical mind on this topic, but in my wildest dreams, if I had to imagine, he will be, I don't know, inspired by some space movies, he will basically be transported to an alternate dimension where it's infinite forests and farmland, where people that maybe live there, or I don't even know. Are there people there? Also, I wonder what happened to these cameramen. I would assume that they died, mainly because, well, there's nothing else and nobody has seen them afterwards, so we don't know where they are. But that's just my wildest theory, because, I'm kind of stressing over this, because now that I think about it, if I run into some circumstances, I do not want to end the same fate, because the last time that some people were seen was basically during them sleeping. So yeah, I don't know. I'll maybe try to learn from some coworkers, maybe a year later in 2000 or 2001, to see if they maybe have some other knowledge. Because as of right now, things keep repeating and the police cannot do anything. However, there has been found some fingernails and some fingers in the Gauya River, in the Gauya National Park. Yeah, by the way, that was found before our institution was created. That was in like January 18th or 17th of 1999. It was found by the police because, they had a missing persons case. So they looked to national parks and found it. Only fingers, and it appears that the person either has drowned, or a killer has been there, or that he was buried alive next to the river, because the remains were found next to the river. It has to be connected, because most of the cases that we are getting here appear to have been from the Gauya National Park, and it's mainly trees. These cameras they're dirty. Some of them are very old, like from the 80s. But that's the thing. We've analyzed two cameras, and they're from 1988 and 1987. But here's the thing. The missing persons case for that person, which owned that camera, was like, I think, March 5th of 1998. That's concerning, knowing that the missing persons case was many years after, well, not many years, but years after this camera is found, which doesn't make sense. Is time travel? I know time travel exists, but it's very over exaggerated in the media. But I mean, this kind of proves it, because that camera is from 1988, and the missing persons case basically said that he owned a modern camera, and but to be fair, he could have owned an old camera, but the family said that no, he just recently got a new one, which doesn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe they got a different person, and I don't know. But yeah, that's the end of this tape. It's way too long, but I'm just recollecting for what we have been getting for over these past few months and years. But I hope we will get an answer to this, because, well, I want to also participate in this, So, but yeah, end of tape. I'll maybe record a different tape, but yeah, see you next time. I'm saving this to my archive. So, bye.